Hello and welcome to the Blood Reds Morning Bulletin. I'm joined by my fellow Liverpool.com writer Andrew Beasley to talk over last night's events. First of all, Andrew, it was quite a disappointing result for Liverpool in the end, not what we were expecting or hoping for going away to Luton Town. What were your thoughts on the game in general?
It felt like a bit of a throwback to last season, didn't it, really? It was common for Liverpool to have these sort of games where they went away from home to teams you would expect them to beat, not play particularly well, and obviously not get the win. I think it is fair to say Liverpool had more than enough chances to win the game, despite not playing well. Obviously, we could talk about some of the misses from Darwin Nunez. It seems to be sort of fairly a sort of common theme. I think they had six what are called big chances by Opta. Didn't take any of them. I mean, having six is rare. Having six and missing six will be incredibly rare. But all that said, they didn't play particularly well. The game was basically played on Luton's terms, if you like, and that just sort of made it fairly easy for them. And I sort of tweeted midway through the second half, "Oh, Liverpool, Luton are going to win," because it just felt like it was coming. Not in them having continued pressure. It's just we've seen that game from Liverpool before quite a lot last season. And I mean, let's be honest. I think it was at 95th minute that Liverpool equalised. I mean, Luton nearly did win. So that's not to say they deserved it. Liverpool had the chances, but it was a disappointing performance.
I will say, I think Nunez is being a little bit unfairly criticised for that miss. The ball was coming at him quite high. It is a difficult chance to take on. Yes, he probably should have scored, but I think overall, I think people are overreacting a little bit to that miss. But where do you think it all went wrong for Liverpool? I think Klopp criticised the first half in particular. He said Liverpool wasn't quite playing the way he wanted them to. I felt like there was not much width in the team with Szoboszlai and Gravenberch very central. And I think Luton did a really good job on Liverpool's right side. They kind of locked Salah and Szoboszlai, and I think they both had pretty bad games by their own terms anyway, or what we have seen of Szoboszlai anyway. Do you think that was the key for Luton to kind of sort of minimise their impact in the game?
Yeah, they deserve a lot of credit for how they play. As you said, they did sort of largely shut down Liverpool's right side. I mean, Trent was playing some great passes from sort of deeper areas, but he wasn't really involved so much in that area of the pitch as he tends not to be now. And I do wonder a game like that, maybe it might have been worth, him playing a bit more of his traditional right back role a bit more. But yeah, they deserve a lot of credit. I thought Szoboszlai looked pretty tired. I mean, for the first time in his, Liverpool career. I mean, obviously it's still very early days, but we've been praising him for his energy and his, how much of the pitch he covers and stuff like this. And I just think for the first time he looked a bit tired. I was sort of thinking afterwards, I wonder if Jurgen Klopp had known what the sort of weather and conditions were going to be like at Bournemouth, whether he would have picked a slightly weaker side to protect some of his players. Now, of course, he wasn't to know that when they're preparing for the game. But obviously, a lot of those players played, Wednesday night. And all right, Wednesday, Sunday, it's not sort of the shortest gap, but it did sort of look like a fairly tired performance. And I'm sure it must have been very difficult for them to play in what was effectively a hurricane at Bournemouth in midweek. But I think you're right. I think it probably was probably Szoboszlai's worst game since he's joined, and obviously most things sort of seem to end up with Nunez. I thought Gravenberch was good again. I think he was probably the pick of the midfielders. I think we can probably talk about McAllister as well. Didn't have a great game. He's still playing in a position that he's not overly familiar with. So I don't like to be too critical because of that. But clearly, I don't think he had a great game. And obviously picked up a booking, so he misses the Brentford match, which I thought was good, meaning he'll be available for Manchester City. But I think quite a few people, the way he's playing, would prefer he was missing for Manchester City. But I think you want as many of your players available for the toughest games as you can. But it was sort of a bit of an off day all round. I mean, I'm going to write a thing later today. I mean, Liverpool only completed 5 dribbles in the whole game, and they just obviously it's not easy because Luton are playing a very compact style and stuff like that. But there just seemed to be a lot of poor sort of decision making and stuff like that. I mean, some of the shots from outside the box and stuff, born out of frustration, of course, but just really bad decision making from Liverpool. And as I say, it just sort of, after such a good start to the season, we can't expect them to be incredible every week, but it was a real throwback to sort of some of the worst games they had last season.
I do agree with that point about the dribbles, though. I think when you're playing against such a low block, having someone who can be successful in those one-on-one situations is quite effective. It opens up space for the other players, and I think that's why Man City are so good at breaking down these low blocks, because they have the likes of Grealish, the likes of Doku, who can get and win those 1-versus-1 situations. And I think from up until now, what we've seen of Liverpool is the likes of Gravenberch, Szoboszlai coming in and being able to do those 1-versus-1s. I think that's why I was impressed with the way Luton sort of minimized their impact. They kind of man-marked them and managed them really well. And I think that was the key for Luton. But sort of focusing on the positives, obviously we saw Luis Diaz come on, and he is one of those players who's very good in one-on-ones. And I think immediately I saw Liverpool sort of change when he came on. He was very direct, made a couple of little runs into the box, didn't amount to any chances created, but I think he had a really positive impact. And then obviously the other player that I want to highlight is the guy who got the assist, Harvey Elliott. He's been making really positive cameos for Liverpool now over the course of the season, and I thought he did a great job sort of playing as a right midfielder, almost in a 4-4-2 that Liverpool switched to. And I thought he was quite effective, almost created a chance before he got the assist for Cody Gakpo. I think that was just behind him. It's quite unfortunate, but maybe he could have done better with that opportunity. But then obviously the assist, I thought it was a superb cross from Elliott. And on the whole, those two definitely sort of offer Liverpool some solace, some sort of silver lining.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure I wasn't alone. I got quite emotional when Diaz scored because of everything he's gone through. It's just like, what a moment, really. But yeah, you're right. They were both good. And obviously, circumstances being what they are, Diaz isn't able to probably start games at the moment. But we saw against Everton a sort of broadly similar game in terms of attack versus low block defence. The impact Diaz made. I mean, he got a player sent off in the first half and he dribbled into the box to win the penalty. And that his presence would have obviously or most likely made a difference yesterday for the reasons that you gave. And Elliott as well. I mean, as you say, his impact from the bench has been a highlight kind of throughout the season, really. I mean, he will obviously want to start games, but he's proving to be an excellent substitute. I was quite surprised when I checked yesterday after the goal. I think it's only his 4th assist for Liverpool, which seems kind of crazy with the sort of the skills that he has and the delivery. I mean, we saw that for the goal yesterday.
I want to add his underlying numbers are a lot higher than that. If you look at his expected assists, his chances created, his passes into the box, I think he actually ranks number 1 for passes into the box for Liverpool this season per 90. So his underlying numbers are a lot higher. It's just maybe sometimes his teammates are lacking at the other end.
Yeah, I think it is that. I remember last season in the 9-0 game against Bournemouth, he created a chance for Salah across to the back post, and Salah put it wide from about a yard out. And I think I'm right in saying, certainly at that point, it was like the highest value chance for 5 years that Liverpool had, or the highest value one that wasn't converted and stuff like that. So I think he has been unlucky in that sense, because he's clearly got the ability. But yeah, he was good, and obviously we all hope we can see more of Diaz once, hopefully his situation is resolved soon. We all hope that, and he can start playing, because as I say, I think he would have been really useful yesterday, not just with his goal threat, but just taking players on. Like we said, they just didn't sort of take Luton defenders out of the game as often as they probably needed to. And I think as well, I'd have to check the figures, but I think there's been quite a few goals and assists from Liverpool substitutes this season. So that at least is a positive, because I think Klopp didn't have a great season, it felt, last season with his substitutes, and now he seems to have properly got into the role of these 5 subs and the sort of opportunities that presents. So obviously, he's probably looked at that, and the guys on the bench, they're taking account of what's working, what's not working, and stuff like that. So they go on, fresh approach, straight away they look better, and obviously it helps having fresh legs against tired defenders. And it was substitutes that that earned Liverpool a point. But as we said from the beginning, really, they probably should have had all three, even without playing too well, just on the chances they had.
I think as well, one goal that will not be in those statistics, but should be really, is the own goal scored by Wolves, which obviously came from an Elliott shot, who was a substitute in that game. And I think it deflected off the Wolves goalkeeper, so it was given as an own goal. But I think Elliott's influence in that goal was quite obvious, and it was quite unlucky not to get that as well, as a goal, or even as an assist. I don't think he got a goal contribution for it. So yeah, he's been quite unfortunate in that regard. But like you said, Liverpool created plenty of chances, and I think that they'll only have themselves to blame really for not getting the job done. I think that about wraps it up for today. Thanks, Andrew, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And as always, do check out the rest of the Blood Red content going out today, and all the written content on liverpool.com as well.